read all about it. Get your copies while they last. Stop the presses.
And now for something completely different.
Are you ready for a little truth? Are we not entertained? Wisdom is the proper use of knowledge and experience. There are no safe spaces here. The truth shall make you free. It's showtime! So you want the truth, but can you handle the truth? Well, here's another fine mess you've gotten us into. Now that's entertainment. Enlighten me a little. What you say is quite logical. And what did we learn? Prepare yourself for a little sensory overload. I came here for the truth. 7 years ago. Stand by the roll show intro. Roll show intro in 3, 2, 1, go.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.
Hello, America. Friends, family, listeners, all around this planet we call Earth. And home. And whatever. This is the Craig L. Hayes Show. I am Craig L. Hayes, and it's great to have you here listening to this podcast. The date is June 8th. Wow. The month is slipping right by. June 8th, 2024. And we're going to continue today on this show to talk about the Constitution. We've already covered the first 4 amendments to our Constitution, known as the Bill of Rights. We are going to continue today with the 5th Amendment. Most people know what the 5th Amendment is, especially because I've seen plenty of TV and when judges and juries get together and the witness or the what do you want to call it, the criminal, the accused criminal, are asked questions, they can say, I stand on the 5th Amendment, meaning I don't have to testify against myself. Well, that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today, is a little bit on just exactly what the 5th Amendment is. It's quite a long one. It's quite a few words in there and several parts to it that are so very important. So let's get right to it. We're going to read the whole thing, then we'll go bit by bit. It reads, and forgive me if I chop this up a little bit and stop. I'm trying to read it off of a prompter here, and I don't have the best of vision. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject by the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, or shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Boy, it's a long one. Let's get to the first part of this thing. We'll discuss it. No person shall be held to answer for capital nor otherwise infamous crime unless in a presentment or indictment of a grand jury. It's very simple. And I don't know if I really like the whole grand jury situation the way it's set up, but we'll take it as it is today. the grand jury system. If the prosecution, the police and prosecution present their case to a grand jury, it always sounds so eloquent, or like these people are such wise people sitting on these jury. They're not. They're just more people like your everyday citizens hearing the presentation from the prosecutor. Now, the defense has very little they can do because this isn't about them at this time. It's not a presentation of facts or figures from the defense. It is mainly a one-sided story that's going to be presented to the grand jury to see if they have enough evidence to move on to an indictment, and then on to an arrest, and then to a prosecution, at which time their evidence will be presented, and the defense will have their opportunity to do the same thing. Grand juries, you can be asked to be held as a witness on a grand jury, and here's something that's kind of scary about a grand jury. Let's say that you are a witness to something, and you decide you don't want to talk about this at all. Well, you can go into a grand jury and say, I will stand on the Fifth Amendment right not to answer any questions. And there's nothing really they can do about that at that time. But then all of a sudden, they ask you a certain question. It could be a simple yes or no question. It says, do you like the color blue? And if you do not say, I stand on the Fifth Amendment and I'm not going to answer any questions, you say, yeah, I love the color blue. Now you have to answer under contempt of court every question that they're going to ask you, because you now have ended your Fifth Amendment objection to not giving answers. I don't know if that's totally fair. I don't like the way that's set up, and I don't like that only the prosecution has an opportunity to present anything they want to, as much as they want to. And, it's like we've heard before that a grand jury could indict a ham sandwich for some crime because it's a one-sided affair. It's very simple. And they don't have any pushback. They don't have anything to stop them. But it is the system that we have. Don't care for it. I think there should be limitations put in it as far as what can be presented and what can be opposed by the defense at that time. But that's the system we have. I would hope one day we could come figure some of these things out and fix them. But here's a interesting part of this thing. Cases arising in land and naval forces in time of war or personal danger, or in the militia, it said. Sorry, I missed that. Why can't we, or why don't we have basic grand juries going after the military? Well, the military, for the most part, has their own justice system, military code of justice. It's a big book on what will and won't happen, what your rights are, what you're entitled to, very much like what we have in our own Constitution. But you're in the military, you're in a form of service, you've taken a higher level of higher degree or a more important role in our nation's defense. So they hold you to a little bit higher standards. So they're called tribunals. We usually three judges are on that. Tri, meaning three, tribunal. And those judges will hear a case no matter what it is within the military. Now, cases that arrive from a military person, say a naval officer taking an enlisted man, injuring, harming, killing, or any other form of civilian, I believe that case goes into the court of the public court with public defenders, grand juries, etc. I can't be 100% sure there. I don't remember exactly how that functions, but it may be because it's a public crime, not a military crime. Now, they can fight out the jurisdiction, they can fight out all those things. That's not for us to decide what's going to happen. So, with that being said, here's the part we all like to talk about. Nor shall any person be subject or otherwise. Oh, no, I jumped the line. Excuse me. Nor shall any person be subject to the same offense and to be twice be put in jeopardy of life or limb. That's the double jeopardy clause of the Fifth Amendment. If you go and get prosecuted for murder, you don't get convicted of it. You're found innocent or not guilty. You get to walk out of that courtroom. Well, you can't walk out of the courtroom and then a week later the police arrest you for the same crime because they want to try it again because they didn't like the outcome. That's double jeopardy. They don't get to try that with you. And I think that's perfectly logical. But I think there are a couple exceptions to that. I think they can come back if they find a crime that you've committed since then has been attached to that one. They can go back and go after you. So don't hold me to that part of it. We're just discussing little bits and pieces of this Fifth Amendment right now. But here's the other part we have to talk about. And nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. You stand on the Fifth Amendment, I don't want to talk to you. I'm not going to answer your questions because I'm not going to convict myself. I'm not going to help you in your case. I'm not going to be any assistance to you trying to put me in prison for the rest of my life. I stand on the Fifth. I'm not going to talk. Your right to do, I encourage you to do just that. Attached to that right is what we call the Miranda right, where the police now have to, if they're going to arrest you, read that you have the right to an attorney. You're being arrested for this crime. You can, if you can't afford an attorney, one will be presented to you, and they make sure you understand that. At that time, shut up. Do not talk to them. Do not think you're going to outsmart them because they've been trained to do whatever they can to get you to talk. They have been trained to make you slip up. And they are allowed to lie to you. They are allowed to lie to you and say, we have video of you, committing this crime, so you might want to talk to us and tell us why you did this. And then you get panicky and you start talking and you convict yourself. Don't be stupid. Don't talk until you have a lawyer sitting right there. Any interaction with the police, video it. Any interaction with the police, do not talk to them. So, remember that. Here's one part that we forget an awful lot of. Nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law. We cannot be deprived of life, liberty, nor property without the due process of law. It just means very simply the government can't come in and just take your property and say, beat it, it's ours now. You get nothing for it. Believe me, they have done it. I'll tell you a story about that in just a few minutes. But I want to apply this part of the Fifth Amendment to something I hold very dearly, and that is the right to life. I am pro-life. Going inside of a mother, not harming her, but going inside her and depriving an unborn child of their life, their liberty, and their ability to pursue happiness or property violates this part of the Constitution. I don't care what the Supreme Court has said. I don't care what courts and people all around this country have said. Either we hold fast to the Constitution and the Fifth Amendment, where we value life and the liberty attached to that life, and that life's ability to go pursue its own happiness, as stated in our Declaration of Independence, or everything we do has no purpose whatsoever. Do we actually believe in the Constitution of the United States? You cannot say yes, except for this part and this part. No, it is a whole. It is a whole document. It is not part, parcel, pieced out, whatever you want to say. It is a complete document. If you want me to support your First Amendment right, you better support my Fifth Amendment right and not murder unborn babies. And let them have their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of property, happiness, whatever you want to call that part of it. That is their right. No person has that right unless you go to court and be found guilty of a crime worthy of death. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never seen a fetus, a little baby, unborn child, put on trial for any crime other than trying to live. So, with that in mind, we'll go to the last line in this. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Oh boy, we can talk about that one. And here's what we're going to talk about on that. We just went through this phony baloney hysteria called COVID-19. Did people die? Yes. People die of the cold. They die of the flu. They die of cancer. They die of all kinds of things. We have all kinds of things. It wasn't a pandemic. Millions and millions and millions and tens and 20s and 50 million people did not die from it. We did not have that happen. Yet the government saw fit to take away your right to make a living. The government took away your right to operate your business. The government took away your basic fundamental rights to pursue happiness. Why? Because they wanted to interfere in your life and see how far they could get away with controlling you and interfere with an election that was coming up. They need an excuse to change the voting systems all around the country. They needed an excuse to see what kind of sheep you would be. Now, did all of those businesses get compensated for the loss? No, they didn't. Not unless you were too big to fail. Not unless they deemed you as necessary. Who the hell do they think they are deciding what businesses are necessary? Every business is necessary. This is a capitalist society. Every business is necessary. The people who own those businesses have the right, according to the Fifth Amendment, to pursue their life, liberty, and their pursuit of property or happiness, business, whatever you want to call it, and governments can't take that right away from them without just compensation. So if you owned a nice business and you lost it because you had to continue to pay rent, but your business wasn't open, and then finally you got to the point where it wasn't worth even keeping it open because your bills were so high because you weren't allowed to do your business, you had to foreclose on your business and close everything down and lose everything that you had because of it. Did they compensate you? Did they give you the hundreds of thousands or the millions of dollars that you lost because of it? No, they didn't. Not unless you filled out their forms, not unless you did this, not unless you did that. No, they compensated you somewhat. They played the game. Well, if you keep your employees on the payroll, we'll pay you some money for that. And businesses trying to stay open said, we'll give it a shot, see what we can do. But for the most part, a lot of them just couldn't keep up. And none of them got compensated. Evil people. governors are the ones who shut the system down. I know everyone goes, yeah, Trump shut it down. He didn't do anything like that. He stopped people from Wuhan, China coming into our country, and governors, all Democrat and a lot of Republicans, decided that they were going to take and shut their states down and then not care what happened after that. So the state didn't compensate them, the federal government didn't compensate them. You know, people who lost money, I know I didn't make any money on that. It was a year and a half. We were out of work for a year and a half, making unemployment and that extra whatever $400 or $600 they did. That's not anything near what I usually make in a living. And I lost a year and a half of monies being paid into my pension and my annuity. That wasn't made up either. They took that from me. They took that away from everybody who works in the business I do, of show business. They took it away from every Teamster who sets up anything in conventions. They took it away from every culinary worker who operates these hotels from one end to the other. Did they get compensated? No, they didn't. A couple dollars in their wallet doesn't add to their retirement and their pensions and disability payments, anything like that. But the government didn't care. Nobody cared. And nobody cared, it seems, until, I don't know, just after the election, 6, 8 months, 9 months after the election, all of a sudden everything was fine. Go back to work, everything's fine. Even though we still have the virus running around, we're going to come up with a fake immunizations. We're going to give you all kinds of things that make you think that you're doing things right, but none of them are going to do a single thing for you. But here's the sheep. Here we go. I know I had to go get the shot to come back to work. Even though I'd already had the COVID vaccine, it felt like a really bad cold or something. Even though I had the antibodies in my system, I was told I had to go get the shot also. And as I objected, I said, I've already had it. Here's my antibodies. I'm already vaccinated. Nope. You haven't had the vaccine. You have to go get it. Now what happens now we're seeing all the effects of the vaccines, heart attacks, all these blood clots, all these things going on with people. Do I have any recourse if anything were to happen to me because I took the vaccine? Do I get to go after my employer, which I will if anything ever were to happen to me, for making me do something I did not need because I was already vaccinated naturally with natural antibodies? See what I'm saying? The government. I hate the government. I detest them for what they do. I detest people who support things like this, who would violate your rights. I detest them. I detest tyranny. Fifth Amendment is one of those amendments that try to keep you from being subject to tyranny, but it's not. It's violated all the time. How many people are in prison because their rights got violated and no one cared? Judges who are corrupt, like the ones that did the Trump verdicts, the Trump trials in New York, both of those, completely corrupt. Completely corrupt district attorneys, completely corrupt juries. Amazing how far our nation has fallen. We've become unmoored from our Constitution, and look what's happening in our society. So, anyways, that's the Fifth Amendment. Read it. Learn about it. Research it. Don't believe what I'm saying. Please don't believe anything that I'm telling you. Make what I'm telling you something of curiosity that you then want to go out and read it for yourself and investigate and do your own research. I'm hoping I'm just inspiring you to do just that, because we shouldn't believe anybody. And I don't care who they are. Don't believe anybody. without doing your own research and investigations. Hold fast to your constitutional rights, your Bill of Rights. Do not ever let them be infringed upon or violated. Once again, this is the Craig L. Hayes Show. I am Craig L. Hayes, and I look forward to my next podcast.